If your world is going around in circles, just hold on tight and enjoy the ride.
Your world is breaking into pieces, girl, but this ain't the time to hang your head. The world's at war outside the window, babe, but you and I still have our bed. Say you don't mean it, that you're still leaving. I know it's not your fault. The pain is certain. You're drawing curtains and saying farewell to it all. But I still see the way you glimmer. Shine on, baby. Never let it get you down. There is a glimmer. You will make it. You can take it pound for pound right now. And in the days when I first met you, girl, you were tired of your lonely walk. The light makes shapes upon the water there in the inner bits of Regent's Park. Say you don't mean it, that you're still leaving. Tell me there's still a spark. The sun is setting behind the mountain, and everywhere is getting dark. But I still see the way you glimmer. Shine on, baby. Never let it get you down. There is a glimmer. You will make it. You can take it pound for pound right now. Hold on. Hold on for what you need. Hold on. Hold on for what you need. Now is the time when you need a good friend. Don't sacrifice it all. The way I want you, someday will haunt you if you put me up against the wall. But I still see the way you glimmer. Shine on, baby. Never let it get you down. There is a glimmer. You will make it. You can take it pound for pound right now.
Good afternoon, everyone. We truly miss everyone, and hopefully that video really sparked what we are missing. We miss all of you, our students, the staff. I know it's been a long summer, but you know, within months here, by the end of the month, we're going to go ahead and get started, and then we're right back at it. I know there's a lot of questions regarding what's going to happen, what are the plans for the district. Mrs. Hamadeh, the superintendent of schools, will join us here shortly, but I want to go ahead and get started because I know there's lots of questions in terms of what's happening, what are we doing, since we've gotten phone calls throughout the district regarding our plans for the fall. So before we even get started on that, I want to talk about the committee and the planning process. And I mean, we started planning in March since COVID-19 had hit. We turned it around overnight. The technology team did a wonderful job in terms of ensuring that, you know, everyone was able to get a Chromebook. Our teachers were set up remotely. But from that phase, we learned a lot throughout the months from March all the way through now. which then the committee came together. Salam, Mrs. Hamadeh, welcome. How are you? We came together and built a new plan going in for the fall. And this committee was made up of teachers, administrators, parents, students. We got feedback from everyone, and we appreciate everyone who provided feedback through the surveys in terms of providing us guidance on how to really recreate this plan heading into the fall. I mean, the planning process, no one got any vacations this summer. We were working for you and for the community to make sure that, I mean, we hit almost everything when it comes to safety of your students, of the staff, of everyone, and made sure that we also had an academic mindset, given that we really want to kind of go back and really push, hold the accountability, put them at a very high level, as they always have been. But through the planning process, with the help of just about everyone, kudos to the principals as well of our districts who really kind of had to sacrifice some of their summers as well to ensure that they're ready for their buildings. With that, I'm going to hand it right over back to Mrs. Hamadeh. Welcome, Salam.
Salam, thank you, Dr. Bazzi. And I want to thank the parents and the audience who is looking at this presentation and listening, and who are interested in learning more about what we're up to and the planning that we have. And Dr. Bazzi and I have really worked collaboratively with the entire team, all the principals within the HES Academies, as well as our teachers and our administrators. This has been a long process. We've done a lot of research until we reach the conclusions that we have. We want to also remind the families that this plan continues to be fluid as we continue to monitor the changes within the state and the legislative announcements and the resolutions and whatever the governor may decide at the end of the day. So, but initially, this is what we came up with. I know the planning process has been very lengthy, and the parents have been very patiently waiting for the end result as to what we concluded. In a nutshell, it's important to understand, before we really get into what we have decided, it's important to understand exactly what the state guidelines are. So that way, the limitations are quite extensive. So this will help in understanding, the decisions that we have made. So the Michigan Safe Start Plan has 6 phases, and with each phase, there are guidelines that the state requires, either mandates or makes recommendations. With phases 1, 2, and 3, the schools all have to be closed, and they cannot welcome students at the buildings, and that means it's all virtual. With that said, and what we have done before, we did the continuity learning plan. We would resort into that, go back into it. However, there are a few changes on that end. So the platform that we will use for virtual learning would be Schoology. And Schoology it aligns with PowerSchool and with our systems. It makes it more manageable, much easier to manage for teachers, for parents, for students, and for our staff. So that would be the platform that we will be using, and we'll be using it across the border, across the board for all of the phases, regardless of which phase we're in. And then additionally, in the virtual learning, we would, open the door to welcome our staff to the buildings, so that way we'll have more structure. On the other end, during the continuity learning plan earlier towards the end of last year, there were a lot of waivers and there was a lot of flexibility. In this year, we don't have those luxuries and flexibilities. So there are attendance requirements that we have to comply with. So students need to be checking in their assignments. They need to come in every hour, every section, every classroom. And so with that said, that means the students will need to be within a structured school schedule. And the school schedule will run between 8 a.m. through 30 p.m. as if they are actually going to school. And every hour, when we say every hour, means every class. And the hour is not necessarily 60 minutes. Our hours are going to be 45-minute sessions. So every 45-minute session, we will have a new class, an additional class. So like we start with English language art, science, math, however the schedule may work. Students will be given schedules. They will need to check into their schedules and come in and attend as if they are actually in school. And so that's how it's going to be. Though it is virtual learning, it is more structured. So we want to make sure the learning does not suffer. That's the bottom line. So we've learned, we've experienced, we listen to parents, we listen to teachers, we listen to everybody. And based on all the requirements and what we have heard from you and from the different stakeholders, and this is what we concluded. So with the virtual learning, of course, students don't have to come in. They cannot come into the school, and so they will be taught from their homes. If we move into phase 4, we are now in phase 4 still, and this could change up to the last second. The governor may decide that we can go back to phase 3. Who knows? And you will be notified when that change takes place. In phase 4, we have options. So, and we've been serving the parents and the staff and the students on the interest, which direction they would like to go. And we found out, based on the research and based on the surveys, that still we have at least 30 to 40% of the parents prefer virtual. And we also have about 20% prefer, 20 to 30% prefer blended learning, meaning just coming in on less days than the rest of the week, and then having more days in virtual learning. And then we found out that the balance of the survey, which is about one third, they prefer in-school instruction. So in looking at the options, and there are lots of restrictions in phase 4, meaning there's heavy focus on sanitization, which is extremely strenuous from practicality perspective, whether it is mandating wearing a mask throughout the school day, especially for grades 6 through 12. Students must be in masks, students and teachers alike, and all the staff. They cannot have the mask off unless they have breathing problem, unless they have medical issue. Then at that time they would have to present a doctor's note to waive the requirement from having to wear the mask. But for the most part, this is how it's going to be. So, and even during assessments, students will be assessed the usual, and while they're wearing masks. And so, and then additional requirements, every 4 hours, we need to sanitize the classrooms, meaning we need to get the kids, we either get them out to spray the classrooms every 4 hours, or we use additional supplies to have them in the classroom where teachers can help out with the sanitization. So we looked at all options, and we're going to be doing a lot of, we're actually looking at having a lot of procedures taking place. Also, we're buying equipment, heavy-duty equipment, to facilitate the sanitization during the day and also after school, as well on Fridays. On Fridays, we would be doing deep cleaning. During this phase, this is what we're proposing. We're proposing to give the parents the option to enroll their kids in all 100% virtual learning. We give them an option to go blended learning, meaning it's a mix of being in school partially and also virtually the rest of the day. So this would be a 3-day option B, 3 days in school and 2 days virtually. Students, regardless of which option you go with, it's going to be Monday through Friday, full-time, from 8 o'clock to 3:30 in that learning setting. So it's important that attendance takes place every session. and students need to also post their assignments. They need to post their learning, whatever is required of them. Additionally, so this is the second option, is the blended learning, 3 days and 2 days virtual. And then the third option, which is option C, it's a blended learning with 4 days in school and 1 day out of school, which is on a Friday. So Monday through Thursday, they would come into school 8 to 3:30, and then Friday they're off, but they are doing virtual learning. They're still in school, but virtually at home. 8 to 3:30. It's a full day on Friday. We're finalizing the calendar for this kind of schedule. We will be releasing that calendar, in the next week or so. So parents will have it posted on the website. So you will know more about how the new calendar would align with these kind of settings and the opening plan. So these are the options for phase 4, and it is also for phase 5. Phase 5 is when the students, and when the COVID-19 is of a less of a danger, it's a less risk, where a lot of the mandatory sanitization requirements become an option. Regardless of what the options are, for the masks, for our staff, they would, our staff and our students, it would be recommended for them to have them on. It's less of a risk. And then sanitization will continue in the same way. And then with phase 6, when everything goes back to normal. So these are generally the phases that, the governor has proposed with some guidelines that we have to follow. So the preparedness plan is being now presented to the authorizer for approval, and also for the board members to vote on it. And we will have a final approved plan once the board and the authorizer approves, and it's posted to the website, to MDE's website, and MDE approves it. It becomes public to everybody. We will post it online. So, and we will also email it and release it to all the parents through the social media as well as the website. So you will be familiar with it. I want to go back to the phases briefly so we can give a little bit more information on what's involved. I would like to focus strictly on the phase 4. It's more likely that's the phase that we will be in. So initially, we want to have the school virtually for the first month only. And this will allow us an opportunity to help our community from parents, students, and staff to adjust to that phase, and to get ready, to get all the training, to all the setups, and pass out the Chromebooks. Every student will be getting a Chromebook, and so this is all going to be scheduled during then. But instruction begins officially on August 31st. So August 31st is the first day of school. And so it will go August 31st through the end of September. That is all virtual. All parents, all students will be taught virtually with regular schedules. During that time, there will be a lot of training in technology, a lot of, it's an orientation, it's induction, it's making sure the resources are there. We're also moving into digital learning, where all the curriculum is digitally available in the Chromebooks, and the students will have access to all of our curriculum materials and resources, so you don't have to have books carried on their back and so forth. After September, end of September, beginning with October, we will assess actually the situation as, day by day, and we'll keep you posted during the month of September of whether this will be extended or whether students will come back to be in school. And it all depends on what the governor announces, and it depends on the surveys and the feedback that we will continue to have. And it more importantly, it depends on whether the cases increase and whether the school experiences anything within the families. If any of the families have that experience with COVID, hopefully nobody will experience that. So while we're going virtually, if things continue to be safe and safer, we will go into in-school instruction for those parents who choose to have in-school instruction on a blended learning format, in a blended learning format, whether it's being at 3 days or 4 days in school, and then the rest of the days would be virtual. So now the question comes here, if the parents choose one way, can they change their mind later on? This is a common question that we've been receiving. So if the parents choose to come in, to have their kids come to school for option B, which is 3 days of blended learning, or even 4 days, can they switch to 4 days, or can they switch to 3 days, or can they switch to all 100% virtual? So the only reason why a student may want to choose to switch from in-school instruction to all virtual would be if there's a safety concern. Then we would accommodate that. But switching from virtual to in-school may be a little bit limited again. So we are actually offering to go semester by semester. You can go all year or semester by semester, so we can schedule accordingly. So we are ready to welcome all students in school if we need to, but we need to make sure that we're organized and that we plan accordingly. It takes a lot to plan for the students, so we cannot switch back and forth. So students who are already enrolled in virtual, they cannot decide all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to school the next day. The teachers need to plan for that. And it doesn't work well, and it will throw off our plans. So we want to stick to the schedule. So we will give flexibility for parents to register their kids by semester. What I mean by semester, the year is 2 semesters. So the first semester will end in January, and you'll see that in the calendar. So this will help you in deciding which way you're going to enroll your kids, all virtual or blended 3 days or blended 4 days. It depends on your circumstances and what your belief system is, and as far as, you know, you're able to allow your kids to wear masks all day or not. That's an option. I've seen parents where they don't want their kids to wear masks all day, but the rule is it's mandatory. This is a government rule that we don't have an option over. So now the kids in kindergarten and pre-K through 5, they are required to also wear masks when they're in the public areas, such as if they're going to the bathroom, they're in the hallways, you know, they're changing, you know, it's classes from one room to another for some reason, especially if there are different subjects, or there are no assemblies, incidentally, in that end. That has been waived simply because we wanted to limit the number of students who are together, and the mix and the interchanges between classrooms, that's going to be different. And I have Dr. Bazzi, he'll talk about those specifics and the logistics. So what we want to do is make sure that the parents are aware of the requirements, so you can make an informed decision in selecting which option you want for your kids, the A, B, and C. The A is all virtual again, and the B is blended with 3 days in school and 2 days virtual. And the C option is in school 4 days and 1 day out of school virtually. And so again, the hours across the school days are going to be 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. I want to talk about the safety measures that we have taken, and maybe Dr. Bazzi will elaborate on the phases, the logistics within the school, how the school will be operating to ensure the scheduling will be in place. And also, incidentally, all the surveys are mandatory because we need to identify the students who are in, you know, which programs they're enrolled in, so we can do specific scheduling for them. So as far as the safety is concerned, these are the measures that we are following. So we have already purchased and will be securing facial recognition thermometers. They're non-contact thermometers, and they are very efficient. It takes a couple of seconds for an individual to have their temperature taken. It also recognizes the face. So if an individual is not wearing a mask, it will tell them wear a mask. Also, we will have an administrator assigned to that unit where if they have a temperature, then they will make sure that that individual is escorted out and they don't stay in the building, they don't mingle, to, of course, avoid any further exposure for our students and staff. And also, a mask is mandatory. No one is allowed in without a mask. So that system will tell them wear the mask. If they're not, there will be administrators on site to ensure that that student, that parent, that staff is not allowed in until a mask is worn. Also, in the next slide, the classroom setup. So unfortunately, we're not able to do the 6 feet setup because of the number of students. But when we have the selections of some students going virtual versus some students going in school, the numbers are going to be cut. So there'll be more spacing. But also, we are looking at purchasing the plexiglass partitions for each desk. That way, each student will have that shield in front of them besides wearing a mask. So it's grades 6 through 12, they will need to wear a mask, while pre-K through 5 in the classroom, it's recommended they wear the mask, but they can be without the mask. And the teachers have to be 6 feet apart from the students if the teacher is not wearing a mask. And the students, if they're not wearing a mask, they need to maintain that distance and cannot be within proximity, mingling and playing with each other and so forth. The sanitization, we will have sanitization stations all over the school, and each classroom will be provided with sanitization, a gallon of sanitization, as well as sanitization wipes and sprays. And then also in the next slide, we are looking at, we have equipment that we purchased, but on top of that, all of our heating and cooling units will have UA air filters installed in them. What that will do, it will sanitize the air as the air continues to flow and circulate within the classrooms. So that in itself is an additional layer of sanitization. It is 100% safe. This is used a lot commercially and also in residential areas. Many houses are getting these UA air filter with or without COVID-19. It's very healthy. Water fountains, we are not going to be allowing the water fountains to be used. However, we will be installing certain stations that would allow for the fountains where students can fill their bottles. We're going to ask students to bring in their bottles, and then they can use their bottles to drink water. And if they need additional water, they can go to the water fountain and fill the bottle again and keep their bottles with them. So that is another way of preventing this exposure to any of the viruses and the things that will cause illnesses. As far as the school is concerned, the lunch is concerned, the lunch is going to be, we will be observing the 6-foot social distancing, where some classes will have lunches in their classrooms and some will have in the cafeteria. So we will spread out the numbers. So we would allow as much distancing as possible. And we will also serve pre-bagged lunches. And then also for students who will be taught virtually, we will have lunch curbside pickup like we've done towards the end of the year last year. So that way students who are learning virtually can still have their breakfast and lunches picked up from the school. A schedule will be provided, a letter will be sent to the parents to give them directions and more information on that end. So in the next slide, if we can look at that, there will be a sanitization schedule built into the schedule. So the sanitization will take place during the specials when students either have PE or they're going to an art room or they're going to, to have music. So, and the areas, any classroom that's used by different students every hour will be sanitized every hour. We will have very little classrooms. Students, for the most part, will remain within the same classrooms. So they will not interchange like they would do in a normal setting. So that's something that we will be implementing. There will be deep sanitization on Fridays. This is all the students will be learning virtually on Fridays, 100% of the students. That will allow us an opportunity to do deep sanitization of the building every week. Even though we will be sanitizing every night and also every 4 hours, we're going the extra mile to also continue to do that to ensure the safety of everybody. Then as far as what the teachers will be wearing, this is the requirement for teachers to wear. Every teacher will be receiving a face shield, and also the masks, they're mandatory. Now the masks can be washable, can be disposable. That's an option that parents choose for their kids and staff choose for themselves. We will provide the face masks for the staff and the shields. As far as the student desks, we talked about having that separation, and you can see it in the picture here. It's a plexiglass shield to protect each student from exposure if any other student may have it. We're doing also an isolation room in case we discover someone is not feeling good. They would be separated completely from their friends and from others, and until the parent comes and picks up the student. Incidentally, if anyone is experiencing a temperature, they will not be allowed in the building, be it a student or a staff or a vendor or anyone else. This is to maximize the safety of everyone. And so parents, we're going to ask that parents do not come into the building with their kids. You need to drop them off and the students can be there. We recommend that you wait a minute until the student goes through the temperature check in case you need to take them back if they have a temperature. We also recommend to check their temperature before you bring them to the school. Do not really bring them to the school unless you check their temperature, just to be on the safe side. In the interim, while you're driving your kids to the school and they end up with a temperature, again, you wait for a second out there till they go through the line of temperature check. If they have a temperature, we'll send them back to the car. So hang in there. If they don't show up, then you keep going. If we don't want you to drive off and then them having temperature, we could hardly contact you. We don't want to expose anybody unnecessarily. It's for the best interest of your family, your children, and everybody else at the academy. I believe, I'm going to actually leave the floor for Dr. Bazzi to take on the rest of this. But if you have any questions and please feel free to contact us at the schools. You may contact me, contact Dr. Bazzi, contact the offices of the schools. And, we will be communicating with you. We will be sharing the preparedness plan very soon. And just hang in there till we get the approvals of it. It'll be sometimes towards the end of next week when we release it, and the beginning of the following week. So meanwhile, please go online to the social media and click on the link that asks you to complete a survey so we can go ahead and schedule your kids based on your selection of the program, whether it's A, B, or C. But remember, the first month is going to be 100% virtual, and that is August 31st through September 30th. And then we will keep you posted. Our goal is to bring the students back to the school when it is possible and when the governor allows for that, and also when we feel it's safe for the kids to return to school with no concerns. Thank you, and we appreciate having you. And now, Dr. Bazzi, please, if you can continue to elaborate.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mrs. Hamadeh. Just really, I know it's a lot of information to take in, especially in day one and hearing all of this. So we just ask you just to kind of take it all in, take a few days to think about it. As Mrs. Hamadeh had mentioned, we are going to release, once it's approved by the board, release the plan to you. Highly recommend take some time to and read it, just so you have any questions or follow-up. Just let us know, and definitely we'll be out there to kind of explain it in more detail for you. I do want to go back just so it's all clear for the first month, and I know we've said it throughout, but I'm looking at the chat and questions are arising. The first month, starting from August 31st, which is the first day of school, through September 30th, will all be online. So all of your classes, and you will get a schedule you will need to ensure that you go to each one of those schedules or each one of those classes within your schedules, because attendance is mandatory. And so let's go back. I know in March through June, in terms of accountability, was very vague coming from the state saying that nothing counted, whatever the case being. But I'm going to tell you from day one, from August 31st, regardless of what class or school you're in, every class counts, every grade, every assignment counts. So from day one, your formative will be in there and it will be in gradebook. And I urge parents to ensure that you have PowerSchool access. If you don't, please make sure you work with the main office so we can get you access so you can see your child's progress. But after September 30th, depending on which phase we're in, that's obviously due to the state and the governor's choice. If we're in phase 4, phase 5, we are going to have those 3 options where you can stay remote, 100% online, or you can come to the school 3 times out of the week and then 2 times virtually, or that plan C where you're there 4 times and then 1 time virtually. Everything counts. So please make sure that you are preparing for school, given that your grades are going to start from day 1. At that point, as Mrs. Hamadeh had mentioned, after the first semester, we can reevaluate in terms of on needs basis in terms of changing. But nonetheless, we are in full contention of making sure, if the state allows us to, and we're staying phase 4, we're ready for students to come to the building. We definitely miss them. It's very lonely. It was from March till June, not having them around, but we are looking forward to it. In terms of a schedule, it's an 8 o'clock till 3:30 p.m. is a full day. Half days are going to start at 8 o'clock and end at 12:17. You will, like I said, get a schedule. All core classes are running. All elective classes are running. Yes, Wafa, you're going to have music, art, and PE. I did see your question across the board for elementary and middle. And then high schools, you will have elective. The reason why for 45-minute blocks, as I think Mrs. Hamadeh alluded to earlier, is due to the sanitation cleaning. We want to make sure we hit every single classroom as many times as we can throughout the day to make sure we keep it cleansed, because safety, honestly, is our #1 concern for staff, for students, for everyone. And we want to make sure we have that luxury to where we can go in, continue to clean, and make sure it's spotless for these kids to continue. 45-minute sessions, or even for high school as well. So you'll have more electives than you used to have. Instead of having 6 classes, more or less, you're probably going to look at 8 or 9, but credits will account for it. So you'll still get 0.5 for credits based upon a semester. And then if you do 2 semesters, obviously you get your 1. But all curriculum resources, we're going to really push into virtual. Your textbooks, your workbooks, all of that good stuff is going to be pushed to you through Schoology, which is a PowerSchool online platform. You will keep your Google Gmail accounts. I believe you will use that to log in to your Schoology account. And again, all of that information is going to be shared with you as soon as this plan gets approved. I know the main office has already, across all of our schools, have reached out to you in terms of asking you what choices you want to take in terms of the 3 choices. Please make sure you make a selection. I know there's a survey as well. You need to complete that survey because we do need that answer so we can plan accordingly. And I saw a question regarding the class sizes. By theory, most of the parents have selected virtual. If we do open up to blended, yes, the classroom sizes are going to be much smaller, given that the other half of the class is more than likely online. So those are really the kind of curriculum instruction ends. The teachers are going to be trained in the new online platform, but we really have it down. We planned very well. You know, kudos to Mrs. Hamadeh's lead and really the entire, Hamadeh Educational Services departments all across the board, teachers, HR, principals. We put this plan together. I think it's a very strong plan. We have parameters in place to where it will not fail. We don't want to harm any student or bring COVID into this building. We've been free of it, so it's going to be fine. Just we all need to take a deep breath. It's not a complicated plan. It's very easy in terms of to follow. It's just what fits for your family. That's what you're going to decide when you make that decision for your child.
So if I may just come in, I was looking at the comments and the questions. Some are saying, why can't we go all online? And again, this is really, it's not a matter of what we want to do, and it's not a matter of, a decision one way or the other. It's a matter of trying to accommodate to the needs of the families. There are so many families who have expressed interest in sending their kids to school. They don't want to keep them at home. And so our role here is to accommodate the needs. And if the requests for many families to send their kids to school, we are doing it, but we have to ensure the safety of everybody at the school. However, the plan does allow for flexibility. So should there be any level of risk of students and staff contracting the virus or any, contagious illness, that's where a decision would be made to probably continue to be virtual. We will assess the situation day by day and keep the parents posted, and keep also all the families and the staff, whoever is a part of the whole school system and who will be affected by the plans. We take your feedback seriously. We take your safety seriously. It's number one above and beyond anything else. Safety is number one. That drives the decision whether we continue virtually or whether we will have that option to come back to school. But when you come back to school, when the students come back to school, we and the staff come back to school, we have to be 100% ready that all the sanitization plan is in full enforcement, and 100% we're ready. All the equipment are in, everything is installed, and so forth. This is one of the reasons why we have delayed the, we have made it all virtual the first month, just to make sure we are ready. And we will assess the situation day by day again. So, but even like when the students do come back to school, inshallah, that's our goal, is to have students continue to come back to school normal. Should there be any risk at any time, we will open the communication. We will work closely with the health department, and we will collaborate with our team, safety team, and also look at the general opinion of everybody. But there may be a risk where only one person has to jump in and make that decision. And that's where I will be able to do that, just to make sure no one is risked. So, and trust that we will take your safety to heart, and that drives, and that will continue to drive our decision making to make sure no one's safety is jeopardized. We will not ask our staff to be in if we felt their safety is jeopardized. That would not be the case. And so we are asking our teachers and our staff to report to school. As usual, we are providing all the safety needs that they need to have, and sanitizing the entire school and the offices and so forth. And so we are counting on our staff to do whatever they can to ensure that the continued learning of the students is taking place, and there's more structure this year than before. What I mean by more structure, so first of all, Wayne County RISA and the state, they are expecting us to go to follow a schedule, hour by the hour, session by the session, attendance, the usual. Just like the kids are in school, the virtual is the same way. The question came up whether the staff have to be online all the time. When the teachers report, we will go through the process. Definitely, they're not expected to be online all the time. There could be pre-recorded sessions. They could be going live. So there are few options. The main thing here is to focus on maximizing safety, maximizing the learning process, and ensuring that we're reaching out to each and every student and no one is left behind. And so with the families, and I know we understand some families may have work to do, and this is why we're accommodating those who have work to do. They cannot spend the time with their kids, and some may feel not as capable of helping their kids with the instruction. We understand that. And for those students who are going to be working virtually from home 100% or 1 day or 2 days, yes, they are expected to go live hour by the hour, but they are not expected to be live the whole hour, every class. It's just every class they need to check in, they need to get their assignments, they need to follow up with what the teachers are assigning them, and there will be follow up from the administration and the teachers on the students' work. We want to make sure the instruction and the learning does not suffer. So these circumstances are very difficult for everyone. We're all in it together, and we're all trying our best. Our teams are working extremely hard to ensure that we maintain the quality that we want to maintain while also ensuring the safety of everyone. So incidentally, what we will do is the questions that came in case we didn't touch base on answering your questions, we will we will look at those questions and answer them, and we will provide those answers and responses in our communication to the families. So we apologize if we weren't able to answer every question, but we will take note of the comments that have come across and make sure we touch base on them in a memo to send it out to them. So meanwhile, so we talked about the surveys. Please, please, please complete the surveys. They are mandatory. Every student, if you have one student or if you have 3 or 4 students, it is required for every student, not for per family. This is per student. So make sure every student survey is completed so we know how to schedule them. Some families may choose to keep some kids at home and some go to school. So that is perfectly okay. It's on you because of the transportation, how you're doing it. There was a question about transportation. I know that is an issue that the principals will address directly with the families. We don't usually provide transportation, but I know there is a program for refugees in one of the academies that will continue. It started before, it will continue based on needs. As far as enrollment is concerned, if we can have the last slide, the Canton building will be opening on time. So the Canton building for Star International Academy will be open on time. So if you're planning to enroll your kids, you may go ahead. We are taking enrollment applications. For families who are interested also and they see our programs, they're viewing this presentation, they're interested in our programs, the links are on the screen. Feel free to go to the website and go to the admissions link and the icon, and then that'll take you to the enrollment section, and feel free to fill out an application there, and we'll follow up with you to make sure that you get a full application completed online. All of our applications are remotely done, and they are they can be provided online. So, and if you have further questions, again, go to the website, and you have the phone number is posted, and also you can Google the number, you can get the number from there and call the offices. Our staff are already at the school, and they will be more than happy to listen to you and to take your questions and to answer you and to assist you. We have a great team. Dr. Bazzi and I, we work hand in hand to ensure all of our schools are actually serving our stakeholders to the best abilities, and we're doing the best we can to ensure that our kids have good quality education and that they graduate on time, and then they move on to college and continue to be successful. Anything we can do to help the families, to help the students, to help our staff, we're here. For our teachers, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. You may contact HR, contact your principal, and I'm sure they'll be happy to address your concerns and questions. With that, I'd like to kind of thank everybody for being with us, for joining us, and we're looking forward to receiving our students and to also receiving our staff. All of our teachers report on the 24th of August, and our students' first day of class is August 31st. So we're looking forward to receiving the surveys and to also receiving students, whether it's virtually or in school, as may be directed by the families. Thank you. And Dr. Bazzi, thank you also for assisting.
Thanks, everyone. Great to hear from you. I'm seeing the chat. Can't wait August 31st, first day of school. Be on.
Thank you.